Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. Well, it's almost Christmas, and so it's time to think about Christmas movies. Because, it's become, for most families, it's become part of Christmas, is you sit down around the TV and you watch a movie all together, and Christmas Day, maybe the next day, and Boxing Day, or Stephen's Day as it's sometimes called. And here's the thing. It used to be that people just used to watch the latest blockbuster. So, for example, RTE, our national television channel, would just put on like the latest James Bond film or something like that. But more and more, it's got to where people really want to watch a Christmas movie. And, it's become so popular. There are entire channels that play nothing but Christmas movies, starting from about the beginning of November. They play one Christmas movie after another 24 hours a day. So obviously there's a big market for Christmas movies. So I was thinking about some of the best Christmas movies. And for me, one of the best and one that I always watch in the run up to Christmas is Planes, Trains and Automobiles. It stars Steve Martin and John Candy, about these two guys. One's a real uptight businessman, the other's a bit of a bum, a bit free and easy. And they're trying to get home. Now, they're not trying to get home for Christmas, because Planes, Trains and Automobiles isn't actually a Christmas movie at all. We tend to think of it as such, but they're trying to get home for Thanksgiving. But I think since we don't do Thanksgiving here in Ireland, it's sort of become known as a Christmas movie. Now, there's a lot of memorable lines in it. In fact, I find so many people love this movie that sometimes there's one or two lines from the movie and you just quote them. You just have to speak the line and everyone knows what you're talking about and what you're referring to. But there was a lot of good dialogue was actually cut out of the script as well, because when they're making a movie, they film more material than they need. And so a lot of it ends up, the saying is it ends up on the cutting room floor. Although I think now it's all done digitally. I don't think there's actually any cutting of actual pieces of film anymore. But one bit of dialogue that was cut from Planes, Trains and Automobiles is where Steve Martin is confronting the late John Candy, who, of course, John Candy, died all too young, died 43 years of age. But there was a bit of dialogue where Steve Martin is confronting him about why didn't he say that he didn't really have a family and everything else. And this was some of the dialogue that was cut out. And Steve Martin later said this dialogue was so great, he really wished it had been kept in the movie, because even now, when he thinks about it, it brings a tear to his eye. And this is what John Candy said. "I don't get to give any of myself to anybody. It's not the getting I miss, it's the giving. I sat on that plane with you and I thought about you heading home to be with your people. And Tuesday night when you were in the shower and I looked at the picture of your kids, man, I thought you got to be the luckiest man on earth to go home and put those little guys on your knee and hug them and kiss them. I'm 39 years old and I never had that, and I never will. I'm sorry about all this. I just kind of lost control this time. Every year since Marie's been gone, I've gotten closer and closer to losing it." And then he said this. "Usually, I head for a church. I can feel like I'm part of something when I'm in a church. This time, I guess I didn't get to church fast enough. I just couldn't let go. I vowed I'd never burden anyone with this, and I broke my vow, held you away from your family, caused you a hell of a lot of trouble. You better run." Those lines where he said, usually I head for a church. I can feel like I'm part of something when I'm in a church. This time, I guess I didn't get to church fast enough. I just couldn't let go. Those lines weren't in the script. John Candy just basically ad-libbed those lines, came off the cuff. And Steve Martin said he still sheds a tear when he thinks of those lines. And Steve Martin said this: "Candy was a brilliant actor, especially in Planes, Trains and Automobiles. I think it was his best work. The first cut of the movie was 4.5 hours long, so 2 hours got cut out. And I saw him do scenes that aren't in the movie that are just breathtaking. He was a very sweet guy and complicated, so he was always friendly, always outgoing and funny and nice and polite. But I could tell he had some kind of a little broken heart inside him." John Candy just ad-libbed and came out with those lines that I suspect expressed a truth that was in his own life and heart. "Usually I head for a church. I can feel like I'm part of something when I'm in a church. This time I didn't get to church fast enough. I just couldn't let go." Well, I pray that this Christmas people will find a welcome in the church, that when they're lonely, when they're losing control, they can go and find that they in the church find acceptance and love and a family. And so perhaps the greatest line of planes, trains and automobiles isn't one you'll see on your screen, because it ended up on the cutting room floor. God bless you today. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.